So Oxford United began their new League One season with a trip up north to the county of Derbyshire to face, well, Derby County. A side who have been through absolutely everything in recent years, from playoff heartbreak to financial troubles, and now the optimism of a new era. And so with 3,000 travelling yellow fans behind them, Oxford United walk out to Pride Park to kick off their Sky Bet League One 2022-23 campaign. And at 3 o'clock on the dot, the game kicks off with Oxford in the first half shooting from left to right, or in our case, from where we can see absolutely everything to where we can see absolutely jack. An early free kick from Derby is defended well by Oxford and cleared away. Barkhuizen attempts to whip one back into the penalty area, but instead absolutely shanks it, so much to Oxford United fans' amusement. A bright attack by Oxford is well dealt with by Derby defender Cashin, who absolutely whips it away. And with that, the half-time whistle is blown, with the game still goalless at the break. A heavy, nasty challenge by Collins is, and that's my monetisation, very, very nearly gone. Mendez-Lang whips across in the Eastwood punches away. Thankfully for the Yellows, the Derby man clatters into the goalkeeper and a foul is given by the referee. But unfortunately for Oxford United, a sloppy pass from Finlay allowed the Rams a big opportunity, and one that Hourihane wouldn't miss. A last-minute effort from Oxford United goes begging and the referee blows up for full time. Frustration for Oxford, fair play to Derby County. The game ends 1-0 to the home side. It's time to break this one down. So for Oxford United, it's a defeat on the first game of the season, beaten by Derby County at Pride Park by 1-0. I was there in the amazing away, and 3,000 fans travelling down to Derby County yesterday. Amazing away support from Oxford United yet again. 30+ thousand people in League One going down on the opening game of the season. It's incredible, absolutely amazing, and that's exactly what League One is all about. It was frustrating. Of course, it was losing the first game of the season away from home, first away day. Look, it's not nice to come away with nothing. It is a little bit annoying. However, it's time we break it down, react to it. And yeah, we take the positives, we take the negatives, we take the key points. And again, like I say, in the comments down below, make it a discussion. I want to hear from you. I'm sure we'll have Derby County fans in there. I'm sure we'll have Oxford United fans in the comment section down below as well. Give me your thoughts. I'm intrigued. I want to hear what you've got to say. I'm here expressing my thoughts. I obviously want to hear from you. So let me know in the comment section down below as per usual. Make it a little bit of a discussion and we can chat about it. Leave a like and subscribe as well. We're on the road now to, I believe, 2,500 subscribers, which is absolutely incredible. Be part of the journey. So much content, not just Oxford United content, but that of course is what I love doing. I love doing all of it at the moment, to be honest. Of course, we're going to be doing the League One roundup. Should be out earlier today as of recording this as well. So yeah, really exciting stuff coming to the podcast. Buzzing to have League One back. Didn't start with a bang, you'd say, for Oxford yesterday, but it still is amazing to have Football League back and just travelling down to an away ground for a 3 o'clock kickoff. Wow, it's just what all football fans live for. So leave a like and subscribe, hit that notification bell as well. That way you'll be notified when I go live or do a recorded episode just like this one. Right, enough of that. Let's get straight into it. First of all, I want to sort of go through the notes, sort of note by note, if you like. But I want to start off with the key points that I wrote down. I've sort of gone with key points, the positives and the negatives, merge it all into one nice little discussion. First of all, look, it was always going to be a really difficult game. Derby County, they've strengthened very, very heavily since that takeover. They really have brought in some amazing names. I think the players that they've got are incredible. These are Premier League names. McGoldrick wasn't available. He had a little knock, I believe, along with James Chester at the back. But players like James Collins up front, he was obviously a really quite difficult striker to defend against. He's a physical striker, likes to play with his back to goal. A very good striker as well in terms of his finishing ability. Not bad in the air either. We did fairly well at keeping him quiet yesterday. Had a few, I think he had a really quite good volley actually in the second half. It was well blocked by Cameron Brannigan, the hero that is Cameron Brannigan. And of course in the first half as well, he did get hold of the ball. He's not the quickest of strikers. I believe he's about 33 years of age. He hasn't really got the legs to be running past centre-backs with ease. But again, he's somebody that can hold up the ball, pass it out to the amazing wide men for Derby that we'll come on to in just a second. But look, these are just some names that, you know, are Premier League players. Hourihane, of course, somebody who scored the goal. We'll come on to the goal in a second. But he's, again, somebody that was playing in the Premier League last season. He's now in League One. And look, it's amazing to see these players in Sky Bet League One. Not so amazing when they score and make it difficult for you as the away side. But that's the way it is, and that's how amazing this division has become. It's unpredictable, and it's now full of amazing, experienced Premier League talent. You know, we've got players that in the best division in the world, arguably, playing in the same league as Oxford United. So it is outstanding, and from a neutral perspective, it is, of course, quite, you know, interesting to see, but from Oxford yesterday, a little bit frustrating, it must be said. Look, we knew they were going to beat such a difficult opposition. The question was always going to be, were they able to gel in time? Were they able to really sort of, I guess, conquer those patterns of play that we speak about? You know, Oxford had a lot of players that were playing last season. Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? Transfer window, again, that's a different story completely. But what we can say is these players for Derby, a lot of new faces really coming together, almost a brand new back line, a new goalkeeper, a lot of new midfielders, almost a brand new front line. I think it was actually James Collins, Buck Husen off the left and Mendes Lang off the right. These are players that were playing for Sheffield Wednesday. I don't know where James Collins was playing. I know he's had a spell at quite a few clubs in the Championship, of course. Buck Husen was at Preston. So these are all players that were in the Championship, in and around. They've been, some of them, you know, have played for a multiple amount of EFL clubs in higher divisions. But were they able to gel? No doubt they've got the individual quality. Were they able to gel? And the answer, ultimately, we all wanted to know was, is this the best time for Oxford to play them when they haven't played a competitive match before? The answer was, they looked good still. They did look very, very good. And they were able to gel. Are they gelled completely? Probably not. There were some moments where you thought, yeah, these maybe is a sign of a side that do need to work on things, and they do have flaws within their game. But look, they defended, I think, really quite well. A few times over the top, they did get exposed. Billy Bowden got in over the top a couple of times. A really good flick from Billy Bowden, actually, through to Matty Taylor, but good defending, actually. from the Derby back lines. There were moments and there were a few weaknesses that Derby will, of course, be looking at trying to resolve as the season goes on. But in terms of their patterns of play and the way that they actually attacked, I'd say was so dangerous. I thought the quality of the individuals of Derby probably did give them that edge, I think, today or yesterday. I'm recording this on Sunday morning. So, yeah, look, they did punish us at points. The individual quality, when you do make a mistake, and the big point was always when I came into this was a silly, unavoidable error did cost us again yesterday, which again it's annoying because again we defended so well. I think for 70, 80 minutes of the game we were tactically absolutely spot on. I thought the tactical way of trying to just basically soak up the pressure when we needed to, but also try and have time on the ball. Not many sides were going to pride part this season and have the possession that we did. We didn't beat them on possession, I don't believe. In fact, I've got the stats here. I don't think we did have more possession. It was 58-42 overall, so we didn't have more of the ball, but we did have, a nice amount of the ball. Particularly, I think in the first half, it was much more. I say even. I think going forward, we're much better in the first half. Derby were very good in the first half. Derby in the second half, there's a little bit of a drop-off in my opinion, but I think there's a drop-off from Oxford as well. I think concentration was a little bit of a problem, but I think for 75, 80 minutes of the game, Oxford were tactically very good. I thought defensively, on the eye, and also the stats do suggest we were much better defensively. We spoke about last season, an area where we really did need to strengthen. At the back last season, we really were, vulnerable at times. I think yesterday we did look much better. I think Stuart Finley came into that back four. I say the partnership with him and Elliot Moore, looked also very strong in their first game together. Obviously, bar the AFC Wimbledon friendly last weekend. But look, they did look good, and you only concede one goal against Derby County. I think we're going to look back at this at the start of the season and go, it's not a bad result. We come away with a defeat, but we would have learnt a lot. And playing them at this point in the season, it's a big game to get out of the way. It's also a very difficult game to get out of the way, and it'd be nice and it'd be a dream to come out with more than nothing, but at the same time we would have learned a lot as well, and that would also be something that Carl Robinson will come back on Monday and I think digest and break down with the players. But yeah, look, they are a good side, Derby. We did expose them at points, but generally they did look well structured. But I think Oxford, for 75, 80 minutes of the game, we looked, I think, a really good side as well. I've already seen a few Derby fans say, look, they actually were quite surprised by how good Oxford were at points in the game. And I think that is probably what Derby are going to... I don't want to sort of sound too arrogant, but I think that's exactly what... And upset too many Derby fans, actually. I think Derby will probably be feeling that for a lot of the season. I think there are a lot of people, when they come down to the League One, they are surprised by the level of quality. We're not trying to say we're better than the Championship in quality. We're obviously not better than that. There are some times where you're going to look at them and go, Jesus, how are we going to get past them? And how are they winning games of football this season? That will be the case. But I think they will be surprised by the quality. I think Oxford, again, we did put on a decent show. Look, like I said, I don't want to repeat myself, but there will be areas we need to improve on. But, Robinson knows that. I think his interview after the game was positive as well. He knows there are areas we need to improve on, so that's fine. I think looking at going forward and what this means for Oxford going forward, I think this does expose the fact we are weak. I was going to say a little bit weak in some areas. I think we are very weak in positions. I think up front yesterday, Matty Taylor, he had one chance that was actually quite well closed down, which meant, of course, he missed the chance. We are weak in numbers. We're weak in, I think, quality in some areas. I think behind Matty Taylor, you've got Sam Baldock, of course, ex-Derby striker. He wasn't fit yesterday, and I think that is ultimately a really quite... Unfortunately, a good way of summarising it. You've got Matty Taylor. I think Robinson said it himself in his interview. He looked round to his bench and he's got an 18-year-old striker who hasn't played a game in League One at all, I don't think. And actually, Adonka did come on in the final game of the season. I think he might have made 2 appearances or so across his time. He's been, of course, playing at the youth level, but of course, nothing of real experience, you'd say, at this league. And you feel sorry actually putting someone like Odonka on against Derby away from home when you're chasing a goal and you're chasing the game ultimately. It's not a nice environment to really bring a youngster on. I don't really think that's going to be the best for either party. So, look, he could have tried that. He could have tried to put someone like Gats on up front. But, look, I don't know whether or not that would have been, like I said, a sensible option for both parties there. Could have done, but he didn't. I do think as though we are looking at another striker and we do need to be looking at another forward. I do think another winger wouldn't go amiss either. Carl Robinson said he's looking at another attacking midfielder, even though Cameron Brannigan has stayed, which is absolutely brilliant news. Didn't have his best of games yesterday, but look, it's always hard to play in the midfield when you're facing a side like Derby with that quality. You're going match to match with a midfield of Hourihane and Max Bird and obviously Corey Smith as well. You've got these players that, of course, are going to make it difficult in a midfield. Him and Maguire, though, I thought, to be honest, did a really good job actually at points in the game. Wasn't their best games individually, but I think as a two, they did look well structured. The shape looked much better. I know Robinson mentioned it. I don't want to repeat everything that he said, but the shape did look much better. And sometimes you hear a manager say things in a in a pre-match interview, and you go, is he just, who's he really speaking to here? Is he speaking to the fans, or is he speaking to other people, the board? Is he speaking to people that maybe know a little bit more about, I don't know, the tactical elements of things, when fans just want to hear the honest truth? I think, to be honest, it was a mix of both things. That's what you get with Robinson. But one thing I will say is I do understand what he means about how we were better in shape. We look more of a mature side as well, which is nice, because in previous seasons, I think at difficult moments and different aspects of that game, we would have, I think, switched off. I think our concentration was good, like I said, for 75, 80 minutes of the game. However, last 10 minutes, it wasn't good enough. And ultimately, like you say, when you make one silly mistake, one misplaced pass from Stuart Finley, which is so annoying because I think he was absolutely brilliant yesterday, one mistake, a player like Hourihane and other players as well, they're going to punish you, and unfortunately they did. Gorin as well, he came on. He isn't fit yet. He's somebody that does need time to bed in. He needs a bit more time to recover from that big injury he received and unfortunately had last year. So he does need to, I think, have that more first team action, and I don't think throwing him on against Derby, you can understand the reasoning behind it, sort of really shore things up in that midfield. But unfortunately for him, he was rusty. He wasn't the Alex Gorin we've seen before that injury. As expected, he's just come back from an ACL injury. It's very, very difficult to get back to your best straight away. He was at fault for the goal. Well, not completely. Like I said, Stuart Finley was the person who passed it ultimately to Derby and allowed the chance to come to fruition. However, Gorin should not have slid across. I think Robinson said it himself. The two players in the midfield sort of against, I think they are almost protecting that back four at difficult moments in the game, especially away from home against a side like Derby. Gorin, he came across, so did Maguire. It let Hourihane, he enabled Hourihane basically just to run into an open space, and when the ball came to him, he can tuck it away with no one pressurising him. That is something that needs to be improved, and Robinson would be fuming about that. Gorin should not have come across. If you watch the goal back now, if you watch it on the highlights, you can clearly see Gorin and Maguire are two shielding defensive midfielders in a double pivot, or come forward towards the man with the ball. It is almost like under 10s football, following the ball like a bee at a beehive. They're following the ball over. It's a clean then pass through to Hourihane. Nobody's getting on hold of him, and the quality that he's got, he can tuck that away with complete and utter ease. So it is frustrating, but again, it's things that can be worked on. And like I said, for the majority of the game, we were better at that, and we were better in terms of concentration, but we come away with no points because of one split error, ultimately. What does this show us? Like I said, it does show us we do need more depth. I've already mentioned it, but it's true. One thing I will take away from the game as well is, I think, look, there are areas where you do look at it. I think in the second half, look, we didn't look like scoring really in that second half. I'm going to be completely honest. There's a few moments here and there. Bowden had a go when he came around that left-hand side and volleyed it. Good save, really, today from the goalkeeper. Both goalkeepers actually had really good games. But you've got to also be very, very clear and understanding as a fan to go, look, there are areas of that field where Matty Taylor today, unfortunately, he's 33. He's still a poacher. He's still somebody that if you give him a chance or a good chance, I know he'd probably be a little bit annoyed with the one he had yesterday that he couldn't tuck away or at least get it on target. He will still take you chances. He will still tuck away 15, 20 goals a season if you give him the chances. It's a big if. Our chance creation yesterday was really, really poor. I don't think we probably created one massive chance. It depends what you sort of describe as a massive chance, but of course we did have opportunities to score, but nothing you go that has to go into the back of the net to be from my memory ultimately. So yeah, look, there are things that Matty Taylor is going to have to improve on. Him, a lone striker, we didn't really use the wide men as well as we could have done. Marcus Brown, such an exciting player. He was playing really narrow. So as Bowden and Henry sort of interchanging as sort of a attacking midfielder, sort of drifting out on the wide and having the actual wide men. We played really quite narrow. I think the actual tactical approach from Robinson was, let's squeeze the opposition. Let's make it as tight as we can. That wasn't ultimately the best game plan when you go 1-0 down. When you went 1-0 down, we had to stretch things. We had to play them with really quite wide men to try and stretch them. Try and keep it narrow. You can understand when you're sort of 0-0 and you're trying to hold out a game. Can you sort of really compact the midfield? But as soon as you go 1-0 down or when you are going forward, you've got to give Matty Taylor the ability to get hold of chances. When you're playing very, very narrow, not really getting any service into Matty Taylor into that penalty area, and he's the lone striker as well, so nobody else is really creating anything for him to run onto, other than the one chance he had, really. He's gonna be running, the graveyard shift. That's exactly what he's going to be doing. He's not going to have any service, and he's going to really quite struggle. So that was something that I think going forward against Cambridge at home, I think we will be playing much wider, we will be playing with a bit more width, but you can understand it, but I think it did cost us at points. You think maybe Robinson was going with the, can we compact out that midfield as possibly can, play quite, I think, narrow when our wing-backs, or our wingers and wing-backs, you say, but our wingers really needed to sort of squeeze out a little bit, I think, at points in the game. Of course, the negatives, the other ones, other than, of course, we didn't really provide anything going forward. Look, we were the highest goal scorers in the league last year. I don't feel as though off yesterday's performance you'd be able to sort of see that. Look, I think things will, of course, develop in the next few days with new players coming through the door. But I'd also say as well, and I don't want to keep repeating myself, people bang on about how I do such a thing, but look, you've got to be honest and say, it's a good side. You're playing a very good side here, and they're going to be up there this season. You can see from the eye straight away, they're going to be up here. They're going to be up in the top 6. They're going to be up fighting for the top 2. You can see that just by one game. I know it is just a 90 minutes of football I've watched, but actually when you see them for 90 minutes, they do look well organised. They've got Mendes laying on their right-hand side. How we did not play more games for Sheffield Wednesday last season. I don't know whether or not he's injured or not. That might be something to do with it. But either way, he was such a problem. He'd get hold of the ball. He's quick. He's strong. He's a winger that, dare I say, Oxford should be maybe going and looking at, in the window. Obviously not him. He won't be leaving. Derby only just signed for them. But you know what I mean? Someone with a bit of physicality, but also somebody with a real pace as well. He can put a ball into the penalty area. He did cause certain problems. But yeah, we'll see what happens. The ability of game management, I think, does need to be improved a little bit. I know I spoke about how for 80 minutes of the game we were good, but those 10 minutes of split second, we concede a goal. We just need to be a little bit better in terms of concentration for 10 minutes. And if we'd done that, I think we would come away with a not the most exciting game of football with a 0-0 draw, but I'd certainly snap your hand off for it. To summarise, it's only the first game of the season. It's only one game in, and there's still so much time. 37 games, in fact, of course, until the season is wrapped up. So we haven't got to be too worried, have we? We haven't got to start, pulling our hair out just yet. But look, things are going to develop hopefully in the next few days, and we really can go into Cambridge at home on Saturday with a lot of lessons learnt, but also maybe some new faces as well, which wouldn't go amiss whatsoever, because like I said, there are some gaping holes in that squad, not in the starting lineup I'd say, but I think in that squad. Jacob Murphy, when he came on, he looked exciting at points. He did look dangerous, but again, he didn't have really enough of a run out to sort of see it. Jody Jones is all registration issues for the reason why he couldn't play, but he'll be playing hopefully for Cambridge, so that'll be exciting. But yeah, finally, just to sort of really, really see my final point, Derby, they've gelled. I think they are, not gelled completely, but I think they certainly are close to being 99% gelled. Maybe they'll have some new players coming in and have to redo some of the patterns, but ultimately, they do look like a really good outfit, and they will be, I think, up there this season. Doesn't mean they won't have challenges. I like to see them play Port Vale or Fleetwood on a cold night, maybe Morecambe on a Tuesday. That's going to be exciting to see how they can deal with it. Maybe the nitty-gritty side of things, that'll be quite fascinating, but the counter-argument of that will always be, well, they kept it 1-0, they defended, they kept a clean sheet, and they were nitty-gritty at points in the game. So, to be honest, that's probably the counter-argument that they'll throw back at me there. But let's wait and see. It's going to be a long, long season, but a very exciting one. It did start with a bang for Derby, not so much from Oxford United, but that is my match reaction for Oxford United against Derby, or should I say Derby against Oxford United. The first away day of the season, the first game of the season, finishes 1-0 to Derby County. Not the best of starts for the Yellows, but we'll be back again next Saturday as we host Cambridge United in our first home game of the League One 2022-23 season. Thank you so much for watching this matchday experience and match reaction. I've been Jack. Please subscribe. Please leave a like on the road to 2,500 subscribers, and I'll see you all very, very soon. Take care.